And there we have the Nella Hall still running around the layout. I've put the Albert Hall away and the Lord Westward. So we'll just bring this lot back around to the station, I think, but we'll just catch up with her and the controls. So let's see if we can calm her down a little bit. There we go, so we'll put her back in the station in a moment. But I've had the chance to redo these labels on here because I'd laminated them. If you see the laminated ones I've taken off, you can't read them because of the reflection from the window here. So I've changed those just back to plain paper. I've done the whole lot around the layout, sorry. So I'm in the middle of doing that, well, almost finished doing that. And I've also cleaned up all of the catenary, giving it a clean. If you see the insert pictures there, it's quite a laborious job, but needs to be done from time to time. So we're going to have a look at one of the overhead electrics in the R.644A set with the coaches with the lights. But firstly, let's get this Nella Hall back into the station. So we need to open a couple of points. So I think, what have we got here? Number 8. So let's roll her around towards the station. That should do the first bit of the job, sorry. Diesel refueling tanks have gone in there as well. And I haven't got any further with the sidings, getting those done, but one thing and another has happened, and I just haven't had the time to do that. Sorry, I just lost the Nella Hall there for a moment while I was turning around looking for the controllers. So let's just move her smoothly into the station. And we'll bring her to a stop near these GW coaches down here, perhaps just under the bridge. There, that looks better, I think. So there we go, she's in on platform number 2 now. I'm just going to isolate her just while we remember. So we'll isolate the whole station, and we'll get the electric out in a moment, but she's still in the box. So let's just have a look at the set. So we have seen it before in the past, so this isn't going to be a really in-depth look at it, but let's just have a quick look. Let me see if I can widen the camera a little. So she's in quite a fragile cardboard box. So let's see if we can do this one-handed. It's a lovely looking picture on the set, is on the box. See how the box is sort of quite fragile, and the coaches have operating lights, which makes it extra fun. So let's see if I can just ease off the lid on the box one-handed there. We'll have a swift look over the models. So let's put that lid over here to one side, sorry, and just have a quick look down the side of it there. Quite damaged, but got the accessories and things. Plenty of rusty staples, and there is the set number. The price is missing, R.644A. There was an R.644, I think it had coaches without the lights, and possibly a variation with Mark 1s as well. Let's just have a quick look on the other side of that box. There, we've got track plans and things. So we'll just pop that to one side. So we've got the Bo Bo Electric, which I think owes part of its history to Hornby 00, and this is the later variant of the model. We've got that lovely sticker across the centre of the box, and this sort of plastic tray. Now, I won't be able to lift these out one-handed because they're quite firmly in the packaging. They're quite difficult to get out. We've got that extra sticker there, coaches with operating lights. So I know we had some Mark 2s out on the railway a little while ago, but we didn't have the ones with lights on, I don't think. These are quite marked. They're very, all of these models are very well worn. Looks like they've had stuff spilt on them or stuck to them, and there's some sort of brown stuff there. There's a tiny bits missing from the bogie frame on the locomotive too. Fairly good running condition, and I think the whole lot's survived fairly well. I thought I'd just show it as I was about to clean it, as it hasn't been on the railway since well before the last layout came down, and I certainly didn't give it a clean when I put it away. So I've just taken the top off. You can see the top shell is attached to the chassis with the wire for the pantograph. Let's have a quick look in there. It's quite a short wire. Let's see if I can get that unhooked from there. That's just soldered onto the one of the spigots or the prongs which come through the top of the body shell. Let's just turn that and see if we can see it. So it's not a perfect model. It's definitely seen a bit of action. So we'll just give this a little bit of a clean up, clean the wheels, a little bit of light oiling on the worms and the bearings there, and I think we'll just give these wheels on the dummy buggy a little bit of a clean, because they're quite dusty. I don't know whether the dusty is, yeah, there's quite a bit of dust on there. That's probably just picked up from the last layout. It's just hanging around on the insides of those wheels. So you get all these sort of tumbleweeds developing on the layout. I don't know whether that's in focus or not, so I'm going to give that a little bit of a clean over. But I think that is just the chassis that Trying Hornby developed to put into the Hornby 00 shell. I think it's basically a development of that, isn't it? It's not quite as pretty as the mid-60s version with the white roofs, I don't think, and taking that decision to spray the top of it silver. And the pantographs are really nice things, but I think they are very, very fragile. Let's just give that a little bit of a look over whilst we've got it close up there. So in fairly good shape. Not too much wear on this one, not like the one I've been using to test the rails with, test the overhead with. Let's just have a quick look at the top of there, and we can see the selector switch. So that switch just pokes through the top of the body shell, so you can select for overhead, which it is at the moment, neutral I think, and then for track. Let's just have a swift look at the top of the shell. Let me just turn that around again, and you can see there is some sort of attempt at labelling that on the top of the body there. We've got track, neutral and overhead. I think I got that in the right order. And a swift look at the coaches. As we saw, they're not in the best condition. I think they've had something spilt or stuck to the sides. They really are quite marked and worn. These have got things stuck on the bottoms of them. They do the job though. They're not too bad, but they're definitely nowhere near perfect. We can see that pickup system on the bottom there. We've got a metal wheel on the one side, plastic on the other, and that basic wiper there, creating that quite heavy friction. It has a slightly sprung loaded effect as well, so it's pushing against the bearing on the bogie too. So I imagine there's probably better ways to do this now. I've seen somebody on the internet has got some sort of like a coiled spring which could be put on the axle for pickup. I'm not sure whether that would create less friction than this sort of heavy wiper affair here. So anyway, I'm going to give these all a bit of a clean up, and you can see we pick up on the opposite side here. So you've got the plastic wheel on this side, and we've got the pressed steel wheel on the other side. I think I got that the right way around. Yeah, I think these are the pressed steel ones on this side. And I think some of these coaches I've replaced the bulbs in them, so they're newer bulbs. They're not the originals, so they seem to burn a little brighter and a little cooler rather than the earlier ones, which have quite a warm tone to them. So they're all sort of much the same condition there. I think the sets overall had quite a hard life. Let's just have a quick look at the other side of one of these while we're at it. You can see the marking is quite extensive down that side of the coach. I think the Mk2s we had on the railway earlier in the year were the unlit versions with the silver seal wheels, the ones that sort of came slightly after this. So I think that this set was probably put together to try and stimulate sales of these coaches as individual items, perhaps. an interesting set. I don't think it was a terribly popular one. So there we have that great looking set sitting on the rails there, ready to go. Just have a quick look along it. So she's sitting there without the lights on at the moment. So the advantage of this is I can switch the lights on and have the train standing still, because we're going to take the power from the overhead. So let's just turn on those lights for a moment. See, there we go. So that's up full power. We can turn them down a little. As I say, the colour temperature is different on some of these because I have replaced some of the bulbs. Let's just turn those off for a second. Hopefully I'll remember to switch them back on again. And we can just have a swift look at the diesel refueling area. So as I said, we had that this part on last week, although I haven't got the power supply for the LED in there turned on. Let me just plug that in. So I have been using a separate power supply for that, rather than taking it off the controller. That's how I used all the LEDs on the previous layout. So that works quite well in there. And now I've got just some tanks from the old milk wagons, and that's a 3D printed part that they're sitting on, and the top, the black plastic walkway. And there's some sort of metal ladders which are a bit on the rusty side, and they're from an old Lima wagon that I had lying around in a scrap box, and I've just printed off the computer some wording for the sides of them, tank number 1 and 5,000 gallons and so on. So I think that looks pretty good at arm's length there on the railway. So a quick glance over the 69 catalogue, and there we've got this terrific set, R.644A. As I said, I think the set existed earlier than that, but perhaps without illuminated coaches as 644. But lovely looking illustration. We'll have a closer look through this catalogue in a moment, but I think we ought to turn on the lights really and have a go with this set around the railway. Got some fencing here. It's been lying there a few days now. Just going to experiment with that and see if I can get a little trackside fencing in somewhere or other along the line. Now if we just come back wider here, so I can turn on the lighting here. So there we've got some lighting. That's not all the way up, so I don't want those coach roofs to get too hot. So that would be the advantage of an LED conversion. They wouldn't get hot, because I imagine these bulbs, the sort of tungsten style bulbs in here, traditional style, are going to generate quite a lot of heat. And if you look at the insert picture there, you can see there is some foil stickers on the roofs, are supposed to be above where the lamps are, to try and prevent those from causing problems, I think, or spreading the light around. If you had an LED strip, you could get even light down there. There's a reasonable amount of room either end you could get a capacitor in. But I keep having a fiddle with LEDs in trains, locomotives and so on, and I just keep getting frustrated with it. So I always end up putting them away and think I'll do it another day. So the control for the overhead is on the end controller here. So I can't remember which direction we're set in as usual, so let's see which direction we're going to go with it right now. The correct direction. Remember, ribbed wheels on this model, so a lot of noise. Looks good lit up behind that canopy, doesn't it? I think if we tighten up the camera a little, let's see how she does coming through here. A little bit of a flicker through the diamond crossing there. Again, those coaches look nice with the lattice work on that trackside fencing there on the elevated section. And let's just pop the other side of the station here, and we'll get her coming down the other side. Quite a lot of light thrown down onto those platforms, isn't there? And away she goes. I think if we bring her to a gentle stop, I've stopped her just a little bit late, so I'm going to back her up a little bit. Let's see how she does going backwards. She's not going to go backwards at all, is she? So I was hoping she was going to go. She seems to be a little bit stuck. She's sitting right on the points there. Remember, just pick up on the one side at the front here, and the rest is on the overhead. Let's see if that's encouraged her to roll backwards a little bit now. And let's try that forwards. And then, just for fun, we'll try that backwards one more time. There we go. I think that all that was sitting on the points, really. And we'll bring that forward. So we just have the pickup from the overhead and the return via one side on the rails. Let's see if we can stop just before those points there. So if I open number 1B, we'll be able to roll her into the station. And I think I've set everything previously, so I'll have a clear path into the station and in onto platform 3. And we'll go past the Nella Hall there and pull in. So let's see if we can give that a go. Obviously I can't remember which direction I left the controller in, so please do excuse me. Pretty good sitting there, so I'm just going to back her out again and see if we can negotiate that point work a little slower. I'm just going to widen the camera a little so we can have a better view of that as she goes back in. So we'll change direction. Excuse me, fiddling around with the models here. Not too much flicker on those coaches, is there? And let's bring her into the station again. So we'll leave the lights on, and I'm just going to check the route back out of the station. So she'll run round all the way around here on platform 3, under the canopy. And I think we're good on the exit to the station, and I think all I need to change is number 8, so we come back onto the main line. As I said, I haven't had time to get these points wired in, but I will get around to it. Just since I made the last video a week or so, there's always been something else more pressing to do. So we need number 8 over there. So let's see if we can get that. Sounds like the one. And then let's see if we can roll her out of the station. Let's see how flickery the lights are on the far end of the station. Bit of a flicker over the diamond crossing there. We've definitely got a bit of a wobble, haven't we? So I'm going to race back to the controller. Actually, I'm going to see if I can get her a little bit further, because re-railing that on the curved point is not going to be a lot of fun. So let's see if I can do this without having to put the camera down. So I definitely didn't like the something there over the diamond crossing. I think it was just that bogey. We'll have a go. Let's see if that's right at the problem. Nah, there's still something away there, isn't there? Lights gone off in car number 2 and everything. Major alert with the passengers. We haven't got the lights back on either. There we go. Lights on in car number 2. Let's see if we can get her through points number 8 without any further incident. I think we'll roll back round through the station and see if we can make that work. Those pressed steel wheels aren't the best. If I hold that up, you get a better view. And the problem area is just coming up. There's another problem area. We've just got a slight stall here. So I think it's got something to do with the pickup on the overhead there. So it's just the one pickup. And this is where the issue was before. Safely through. We'll keep her on the main line now. We'll tighten up the camera a little. We'll just see if we can follow this round just the one more time, just watching that pantograph. Try and keep up with it as it comes to the diamond, the interesting bit. Slight flicker on the lights there. I think we'll bring that to a stop. So I think this would have been a lot of fun back in the day, especially with the lights turned off in the living room, rolling around the living room carpet. Let's just turn those lights down now. So I really don't want to begin to melt those roofs. Let's see. Yeah, definitely. You can definitely know there's something been burning underneath those. Yeah, so I suppose it would be a good idea to get around to a LED conversion at some point on those, but I think that's for another day. So we'll have a swift look at the 69 catalogue. No particular reason for choosing this one other than it has this terrific image of this set we're looking at today here. So let's have a glance at the cover again. We decided, I think, that cover in the past is not one of their best covers. It doesn't have a great deal of impact, does it? It doesn't really grab your attention. A very cold looking photograph. It doesn't really convey the energy of these locomotives or the excitement of the models, I don't think. But still, those were the times. These are sort of really terrific illustrations in this era of catalogue, I think. So we've got these wonderful container loads here. So basically the same wagon base with different containers on, a whole range of them. I think an element of these is still made today. I love that one, the tartan arrow. I think that was only available in a set. I do have one of those, I think. And there's some familiar looking locomotives. There's the grey and blue version of the Pullman. I do quite like that one. That's an interesting wagon, isn't it? I do have one of these tucked away somewhere, but not one with the little containers on, although I do have the containers. And I think we've got an Albert Hall and the earlier Pullmans. So we had the Nella Hall rolling around on the layout last week, didn't we? And earlier in this video. And then we've got the Mk2. So we've just been looking at that, and a Rocket. Lovely, lovely little sets. Presentation sets, I think those are. Train packs, they call them. I don't think any of these came with track. It says they are an ideal way to add a complete second train to your layout. So that was the idea behind them. But lovely things. This box, the illustration on this box lid is terrific. We should get that one out one day. All these little toy train sets, as it said. We like toy train sets. I love toy train sets. It's all toys. Lovely stuff, the catenary. Definitely have a weak spot for the catenary. Again, fantastic illustrations. We had a slightly later version of the Britannia rolling around the railway recently, didn't we? In fact, I think she's still sitting in the engine shed here alongside the IVAT. Terrific beast. Lovely, lovely model. Dock shunter headlamp on the front. Terrific things. Winston Churchill. I've got one of those sitting, getting refueled as we speak. There's those assembly packs. I think they were formerly called CKD kits. There was a variety of them over the years, and they did coaches as well. And I think the crane, the small crane, was the subject of one of those. Here we've got the Wren locomotives, the Triang Wren, although they're not calling them Triang, they're Triang Hornby by Wren. Interesting ones. I don't really have any of those models. I have the Hornby 00 version of that. I think I have a Castle, 3-rail Castle. I have a Duchess. I can't remember which one. It's a green one. I can't remember the name of it. And I do have the Hornby 00 3-rail 264 as well. All for another day when we manage to get the 3-rail down on this board, perhaps. And then we've got the coaches sold separately with the lighting. So we've got R.752 Intercity class, second class coach. I think in later years we got Intercity on the sides of these when they moved away from the lighting. We've got plastic wheels, then they had silver seal wheels. Long running models. I'm not entirely sure whether the moulds might still be in use in one form or another somewhere, and there's the brake version. We've got R.753. I think they were a long running model, and there is the assembly packs for the coaches. It's a lovely mail coach there. There is the crane assembly pack. I obviously picked the right catalogue. And we've got that side tipping car there. We saw one of those in action just the other week. Battle space. Yeah, I have a few bits of this, not much. But some people go quite mad for this stuff. It's an interesting range. I do remember friends of mine at school having some of this. They weren't particularly interested in model railways, more the army stuff really. We've got the terrific buildings. We've got the crossover buildings brought in from the Hornby 00 range here. Signals. I've got gantry. Must get one of those on the railway at some point. Is that the Albert Hall again? Creeping in. Can't keep her away from the action. Suspension bridge. Sidewalls. The earlier ones. We had a lot of those on the previous layout. Hopefully when we get back to Super 4 we're going to get that. Plenty more of that out. I've acquired a little more, and we'll get it out with the suspension bridge and so on. And there's the slightly earlier version. Is that the earlier version? Yes, that's the earlier version of the turntable we've got here. The earlier version didn't have the ramps, so I don't think the ramps make a great deal of difference. They're too steep, I think. They look all right, but I don't think they really help. Definitely not a fan of them with the converter tracks. Various accessories and things, trackside fencing. And again, scenery or buildings and layout items here. Triangle glue, polystyrene cement. So a lighting unit, perhaps for buildings, and great sets of people here. And these have got an RML number. So model land. Terrific stuff. I love that one. Look at that. They haven't quite got all the tiles on the building yet. That's quite a nice thing. They're not very English looking. I think that's possibly one of the problems with this range. It's for those of us who have English railways, I imagine that might have been a sort of a deciding factor in whether you purchased or not. And with a crossover between railway and the great range of cars that Triang Hornby had. Really stunning looking things. I have none of these. People keep asking me if I have any, and I don't. It's just another bad habit to get into, and it would get out of hand. You'd only end up wanting more pieces. They're just such terrific illustrations, especially of the time, I think, late 60s here. Fantastic range of models, they really are. I bet they're quite hard to get hold of, I imagine, the Caravan. Yeah, and there's a nice range of buildings for those. I think there's interaction with some of these buildings. Actually, none of these buildings here. I thought some of those had a rail interaction with them as well, but maybe that's just the unloader. Let's just have a look further back. Yeah, I think it's that, isn't it? That's what I was thinking of, that interaction. But I think there is some other. Oh, there, the crossings. That's the thing I'm thinking of. I do apologise. I was thinking of something different there. Great stuff. But I think that's probably it. The end of another catalogue. I apologise if we've seen this one recently. I can't remember which ones we've looked through quite so recently or not, so no real dealer stamp there. Made in Great Britain. And a great airfield scene there, but thanks again for watching. It really is very much appreciated. So let's just finish off and see if we can get her underway again. We'll pop the lights on. So on they go. And we'll give the Bo Bo Electric a little power. Goodbye now.